Yeah, so my big takeaways from reading Acts chapters 1 through 4 was the first off, the necessity for the Holy Spirit for effective ministry to take place. Um, I noticed, especially even in Acts chapter 1, when you see Jesus talking to the disciples before he sends into heaven, he tells them not to leave Jerusalem until they were baptized by the Holy Spirit. And I find that to be really interesting because undoubtedly, like, they were probably ready to go. Um, they'd been well trained. They'd spent 3 years with Jesus. Obviously, they had a slip up during his crucifixion, um, where they were afraid and they ran. But now, after seeing him raised from the dead again, I'm sure they were probably really excited to go and to tell others. But he says, no, 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 I want you to wait until you're baptized by the Holy Spirit. And realizing that that was going to be what would actually empower them to have effective ministry. And so that was really cool. And then obviously seeing Acts chapter 2 with the Holy Spirit coming at Pentecost and this incredible outpouring of people being able to speak in different languages. And of course, 3,000 people ended up getting saved there. So once again, we see the Spirit moving in a powerful way and bringing people to know Christ. And then even in Acts chapter 4, when Peter and John are being questioned by the high priest, 4:8 says that Peter was filled with the Holy Spirit when he spoke to the high priest. And then 4:13 says that they were astonished by what he had to say because he was untrained. And so they were surprised at the way he was able to speak. So I just see this recurring theme of the Spirit really being what empowers us for effective ministry. And so I think that's good for us to learn as church planters and realizing, like, man, you can come up with the best strategy and the best training you could ever want, but if you're not empowered by the Holy Spirit, you're not going to see anything significant really happen. The other thing that was cool was just that the early church really ministered in anticipation of the return of Christ. When Christ ascended into heaven, the angels were like, "Hey, why are you standing there staring into heaven? Jesus is going to come back just the same way that he left." And so then later on in Acts chapter 3, when Peter's preaching, he says that in 3:21 that Christ had to be received into heaven until the time comes for God to restore everything. And so it just shows this idea that they were really ministering in anticipation of the return of Christ. And so even as we go out and plant churches and minister today, I think that should really be something that's always on our mind, is that we're really just doing this in anticipation for Christ's return, and that there will be a day that comes.